Hello everyone, and welcome to a deck deep dive for the first of the North deck divisions that I have played a lot, and that is the Belgians, the 16th Panzer division, which really goes down my alley as a division, and that's why I really played the living heck out of it, as it is just a more fun version of 2nd Panzer Grenadier from here. And we start in the logistics tab, where we have a forward deploy CV, an Iltis CV here, and 2 supply cards to get you around the battlefield, as the months are pretty solid with 1000 supply, and I feel like the Volvo is a bit too vulnerable, so these guys go with that. Then we have an infantry tab with one of the best infantry units in the game currently. For 40 points, you get 3 MGs on the Mech Fusiliers. They are fantastic infantry versus infantry fights, and against APCs, you bring the ones with the Ehrlichen IFV here, and the law, yeah, it can do a bit of stress. It doesn't kill most likely, but you don't really need these to kill vehicles anyways, so this is pretty fine. Fusiliers as your forward deploy, really important. Can grab you a lot of land, and you get some forward deploy AA in, and so this goes pretty nicely. 50 cal there coming with this, just getting you some territory up front. So this division really does that pretty well. The reservists versus MG is something that I'm currently thinking about, but with the buff, the MGs with 7mm are pretty solid as well. So I feel like this is quite a nice layout. So yeah, one card of the Mech Fusiliers with a Unimog transport to get them forward and just have a good line infantry, and then 2 in the AFVs. The AFV is a bit overpriced for 50 points, but these guys here are underpriced, so together it's a really solid combo as well. So that goes nicely too, getting you some autocannons. The ones with the Blindeside, you can push forward with the Pioneers through towns, and then they can actually one-shot some light vehicles. And the Milan 2 with an AFV with a Milan is nice as well. This one having smoke and 2 frontal armor is quite nice, and the 50 cal can actually come in handy too, so this is a solid combo too. And then in the artillery tab, just some M109s to be able to deal with ATGM positions and so on, and some smoke mortars to get you forward with the 107mm that can also do some stress damage for you and have a good bit more range than these guys. These are really old 81mm mortars. They only have 3500 range, which is pretty hard to use sometimes. And these ones cost you extra for the forward deploy, which is not amazing either. So I just go with the M30s here. Tank tab, it's all about the Leos, and the Leos come all up vetted, so they're pretty strong. These ones may be currently 5 points overpriced, but they're still pretty efficient with the max range and high veterancy. They go up decently in accuracy and so on. The Leo 1A5 BE is really solid as well. Yeah, max vet it is. So these guys with a leader next by even go higher than that, and that's quite nice. The Humvee tow for the forward deploy ATGM against some matchups can be really fantastic as well, and otherwise it's just another really nice tow too. And the Milan 2 here as a nice defensive flank ATGM as well, so that the numbers of ATGMs is a bit higher in your deck, and that goes pretty strong as well. Recon tab gives you some nice forward deploy infantry as well, with the ESR GVP, the sniper rifle, really helping them winning infantry fights, and the GSR obviously means that you have some good recon here too. Eclairs with a law and forward deploy in the Humvee can be pretty solid recon too. Scimitars, really good autocannon, helping out up there on the front, 3 frontal armor, giving them decent survivability as well, going pretty strong too, and then just some cheap recon infantry to throw around later in the game with the Eclairs. And the drone, that can be nice to bait out enemy fighters, that can be nice to spot enemy ambushes, so yeah, for 60 points the drones are pretty nice as well. Enemies usually will get them shut down, but often enough they overextend then or waste their fighters, and then if they only have 1 or 2 fighters, you can use your other aircraft, so kind of like a decoy here with the drones sometimes. And if they don't respect them, you just get a lot of intel out of them as well. AA, Gepards and Mistrals as your base close range protection, and then the man with the 50 cals as forward deploy speed AA that also can push against enemy helicopters and help out dealing with those. It has to be pushed pretty close to do that, but it can help out with it, which is pretty important to get your Fusiliers through in some matchups. And then helicopters, the A109 with 8 launchers, because I tested first with this slightly cheaper, one more availability, but you really often run out of the 4 missiles, and then you have to reload and be stuck with that, and that costs you the 10 points extra plus a lot of time. So just going with 8 missiles here is the safer bet in my eyes, because you usually don't use more than 3 anyways out of these, because the enemy will see the first 1 or 2 and then respect it a lot, and then every other one that you bring afterwards will just get countered usually, so it's pretty hard to use more than the first 2 or anyways, so 3 is fine, and you get the extra launchers, and they can be really strong if they catch an enemy off guard. Air tap, the F-16 is pretty important, can come in early to protect your forward deploy, and that in cheap, can kill off helicopters decently well as well, and as they at least get 6 missiles. The missiles are pretty bad, but they get 6, and 175 points is fine. And then you get 2 good bombers here. The Mirage can one-shot a lot of things with the 450 kilogram bombs, and the AIM-9Ms here mean that it can kill helicopters and even duel decently well with planes if need be, though you really don't want to risk a 270 point plane like that. And the other is a really solid cluster plane that can one-shot all tanks as well, which is pretty important, as heavier tanks can be a bit of a menace for you, so having a tool to delete them is quite nice. So yeah, this is a really aggressive deck, as you will see in the gameplay we will get with it, and you really want to push it even harder than with Second Panzer Grenadiers, and it has some nice advantages there, though obviously as soon as the game goes to slow down, you have a bit of an issue compared to those heavier decks, but I really have had a really good time with this deck. Like, my win rate with it is decent, and it's just such a blast to play, so I think the Belgians are pretty good, and the infantry here with the 3 MGs carries them quite a lot in infantry fights currently as well, which is really nice. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Let me know down below what you think about this deck, and see you all next time.